All right, I think we're live. Welcome to the Classic Strategy Reveal stream, everyone. We have got a handful of really exciting announcements to go through today. I'm joined by senior producer Dan Bojanowski to run through it all. So, Dan, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, I'd love to. My name is Dan Bojanowski, the senior producer for all things board and card games here at Renegade Game Studios. What does that mean? Well, it means I don't design the games, I don't do the art, I don't do the graphic design. But what I do get to do is figure out all the other fun aspects, like what the components are made of, how big they are, how it all fits in the box, what size box, all that stuff is kind of where I come in.
Awesome. All right, well, I think let's get right into it. So, yeah, we've got a lot of really cool things to talk about today. And first is going to be Risk 2210. Dan, can you tell us about this one?
Yeah, Risk 2210 features classic Risk gameplay with some new twists. So obviously, it's the year 2210. The world is at war yet again. We've enlisted the help of giant mechs to fight with us, and this time, it's not just on the land, it's under the water and up on the moon. So there can only be one winner. Each player takes the role of an army commander who leads a group of mechs, stations, and five unique commanders, like land commander, a nuclear commander, a naval commander, each with their own special abilities, special cards to sway the tide of battle for you. Gameplay lasts exactly 5 turns, which is kind of a neat thing for this game, that it doesn't go on until there's just one person left. This goes exactly 5 turns, and then a winner will be announced. It's got the same great gameplay as all the previous printings. This is not a new game that we're putting out. This is one we're bringing back. We really love the gameplay and wanted to be sure it was available for gamers who may have missed it the first time around, or new gamers who are just getting into the hobby. And with that being said, our printing has all the same gameplay as all the previous printings, but it's got a few minor quality of life updates, including some double-sided tokens, moonboard, and resealable plastic bags. But it's got the same great gameplay that it had before. And if you're looking for classic Risk gameplay, you can use what's in this box also to play the classic game of Risk.
Nice. That's awesome. I'm really excited for this one. I've seen a lot of excitement in the community for it as well. So, really cool. You can pre-order this one now. Risk 2210 is going to release in July. Now, speaking sort of along the same lines of sci-fi, up next we have Nexus Ops. This one I've also seen a lot of excitement for. So, can you tell us about this one?
Yeah, so theming wise, it's the distant future again. Rare energy is called rubium that controls interstellar economy. Galactic corporations compete for control of this resource, and there was a new moon that was found that was really rich with this rubium resource. So all these galactic corporations sent their military in to mine for it, to hunt for it, to harvest it. Of course, when there's multiple people vying for limited resources, battle ensues. So there's an indigenous life forms there that are willing to help, but only to the highest bidder.
Nice, interesting. Yeah, it sounds like a really cool premise. And what's the gameplay look like?
So it's an area control combat game with some minor exploration elements. So you're going to use your army to explore the moon and find these rubium mines and then control them to generate resources to build up your army. You'll carry out secret missions on some hidden cards, trying to do various things. You'll use energized cards, which are like the combat twists to sway the tide of the battle. And you'll grow your army, enlisting the help of the local aliens. There's cool things like rock striders, rubium dragons, fungoids, and each of them operates slightly differently with different dice, different abilities, they function differently on the different types of terrain. And as a neat throwback to the original Avalon Hill printing of this, all of the minis are black light glow, which means you can turn off the lights and turn on a black light, and they'll glow on the game board, and you have this really cool effect. If you want to see some like images of this, they're on BGG's. Type in Nexus Ops, and you'll see some images of the old versions. It looks awesome, and I can't wait for people to try that again.
That is really cool. Yeah, I'm actually very excited about that. I'm talking to a certain media friend about doing the how to play for it, and he's very excited about that bit as well. We'll definitely show it off. So, how is this different from the previous version? Speaking of that.
Yeah, so it is the same gameplay, but it has all new updated graphic design and all new illustrations by the Micho, and it looks fabulous. Additionally, in the center, there's a molded plastic 3D monolith. This is kind of the central focal point that everyone's kind of fighting over. It gives you special benefits, but in this version, there's a nice plastic molded piece that has little shards of rubium sticking out of it and will really make a nice centerpiece for the game.
Awesome. Yeah, I always love seeing illustrations from the Mitra. I'm looking at it on screen now. It just looks great as always. And the black lights, yeah, that's going to be cool. I love the throwback. So Nexus Ops is releasing in August. So go ahead and pre-order it if you're interested. Now, next up, let's shift gears a little bit and talk about Robo Rally. So first, we have a game that some of you might have heard us mention once or twice before. Robo Rally Transformers. It was in the thumbnail of this video. It's a match made in heaven. Dan, what can you tell us about this one?
Yeah, in Robo Rally Transformers, you get to play as legendary robots like Megatron or Optimus Prime. There are also some deeper cuts in there like Blur. And as you navigate dangerous race courses and speed across the planet's cities and deserts, this is classic Robo Rally gameplay with some twists. You can convert your robot between alt mode, your vehicle mode, and your bot mode. That gives you different benefits every time you do that. When you do it, you might have different advantages to being in one mode or another based on the spot that you're in. You can dart in and out of buildings, jump across obstacles, and attack your rivals. As far as new features in this game, how it compares to classic Robo Rally, there's drift cards. So these are, instead of just moving forward or rotating left, there's a drift, like drift left, that does both in the same action, which is a nice little fun thing for the racing aspect of this. There are robot-specific upgrades. So if you're Megatron, you'll have some specific cards that only work with Megatron, which is really neat. And also, there's new board elements like jump ramps, buildings, and roads that add new gameplay to it. So as you mentioned, this is a crossover match made in heaven. Robo Rally, Transformers, robots, racing, let's do this.
Yeah, can't beat it. Awesome. So yeah, this one is releasing in May, so you really don't need to wait long for this one. If you're interested, go ahead and pre-order. And that is not all for Robo Rally. We are also very excited to announce the Robo Rally 30th Anniversary Edition. Dan, can you please tell us about this one?
Yeah, Robo Rally holds a special place in my heart. It was one of my personal gateway games into the hobby many years ago, and it's one of the few games my wife will still happily play with me. So it's been creating chaotic fun for gamers worldwide since 1994, and for the 30th anniversary, we're excited to release an amazing deluxe edition for it.
That's awesome. And what kind of components can we expect in the deluxe edition?
So first of all, is one of my favorite things as a gamer. One of the upgrades that really gets me going is dual layered player boards. So I really wanted to get that in here. So your player board that you have is got 2 layers of punch board on it that have little slots for your flag, your checker, your energy token to move along, for your checkpoint marker to move along. You got special slots for all your cards to go in. It just feels nice to have that player board like that. It also has wooden tokens, so all the punch board tokens from the core version, like reboot tokens, checkpoint tracking tokens, archive tokens, those are all nice wooden tokens with screen printing on them. The priority token that you pass around the table is now a nice metal priority token with engraving in it. And also, all of the minis have improved paint jobs. So in the core box, the original core box, the minis are painted. But these minis are also painted with more paint ops. Well, what's a paint op? An op is when the painters paint a specific piece of it, whether it's the head or the arm or whatever. That's a paint op. In this version, we improved the paint ops. We added to the paint ops, and what that means, what you'll see, is more detail. So you'll see more eyeballs, more different colors, more shadows, and things like that on these minis that will just make them look a step above the original ones. Also, in this version, there are 4 new double-sided game boards. So new gameplay as far as the boards go, and this is the place that you'll be able to find those. And I'm probably most excited to say that this version will play up to 8 players. So not only does it have the 6 robots and stuff from the core box, but this adds all the components you'll need to play up to 8 players for more chaotic fun. The 2 new robots that will be included in this are actually throwbacks to existing robots that just didn't make it into this previous version. So we have Twitch and Trundlebot. And hopefully you can see some of the art of them up on the screen right now. This is new art that we had commissioned that was kind of a throwback to the original ones. We had new sculpts created for these that were based on the original design. So we're excited to bring back these. I know Twitch is a fan favorite among some folks, so excited to bring those guys back.
Yeah, they look fantastic. That's such a great way to celebrate the 30 years of a great game. Of course, designed by legendary game designer Richard Garfield. Robo Rally is fantastic, and it's just an honor that we, get to work on the game. So it's cool. So this anniversary edition releases in August. Go ahead and pre-order now. All right, so now let's switch gears again a little bit here. Up next is one that we actually opened pre-orders for last week, but we want to mention it here in case anyone missed it. It's the latest from Garphill Games, Ezra and Nehemiah. Dan, can you tell us about this?
Yeah, this is a thematic strategy game for 1 to 4 players set in ancient Jerusalem. This is from the Insane Incredible team that brought you the West Kingdom and South Tigris trilogies, and they did not disappoint with the art on this one. It looks great. So Ezra and Nehemiah has been described by playtesters and by Shem as kind of a greatest hits for Garphill game fans, featuring mechanics from several other games, all put together in a very satisfying way. So if you're a fan, you might see some mechanics that are familiar. They're like, oh, this is like that, but I like how this all comes together. For instance, there's a unique action-taking system with very tough decisions each turn. It's reminiscent of the playing of the cards in Viscounts of the West Kingdom, but done in a slightly different way. There's plenty of variability in the setup, which makes the game very replayable. And as I mentioned before, I love dual-layer player boards. This box comes with dual-layer player boards for each player that keep things manageable and organized to improve your gaming experience.
Awesome. So this one is going to be releasing in June. You can go ahead and pre-order now. Very excited for that one as well. Yeah, I'm looking at the art on screen now. It never disappoints, these types of games, so looks great. All right, so you may have also seen that we recently opened pre-orders for the next game in the Search For game line. I'm personally really excited for this one, big fan of this game line. We announced the Search For UAPs a few weeks ago. So Dan, can you tell us about this one?
Yeah, the Search For UAPs is a follow-up to the popular Search For Planet X and Search For Lost Species. This time, however, we're using logic and deduction to look for unidentified anomalous phenomena, or UAPs, to prove their existence. So this game is being co-published with Bezier Games and was designed by Ted Alspach. And many of you might be saying, well, how is this different from Planet X and Lost Species? If I already have those, is this something that I need to pick up? Well, there are definitely similarities. It's part of the game line. It's still a deduction game that uses an app. It still has a time track. You're still looking for objects, and there's one object per space. All of those familiar hooks will be here. But there are definitely some differences and some neat things that you want to pay attention to. So Planet X is a space game. This is a space game as well, but rather than looking in deep space like in Planet X, in this one we're looking in near space. This is the Earth's inner and outer orbits, and we're looking like through a telescope or through something like a closer distance. One of the neat things as far as gameplay goes is that this has variable amounts of objects to find each game. In all the previous games, you knew that there was, one of these or two of these at the beginning of the game. In this one, if you're looking for a navigation satellite, you don't know whether there's 1, 2, or 3 of them. You have to deduce that. You have to figure that out as the game unfolds. And you might figure that out through your deduction. There might be some satellite information that's provided to you that tells you, oh, there's exactly 2 navigation satellites. So that's a neat little wrinkle. Also, there are rotating game boards. So this is in the center, there's a large circular board that has a second board on top of it with magnets holding it together. And that rotates to simulate the inner and outer orbits of Earth. And this is really cool because each player also has their own personal version of those rotating magnetic boards that you're going to be doing your deductions on. These are going to be done using wet erase markers. So a lot of times on these games and in the previous games in this series, there was pencil and paper is what you would use to mark off your deductions as you're going along. In this game, we are using wet erase markers. So it's very reusable. It's very, you don't have to run out of paper ever. You've got these wet erase markers. Many people are not used to wet erase markers. They use dry erase markers. We went with wet erase markers because they don't smear. For a left-hander like me, when you're writing and you write across your stuff, it smears. This doesn't have that problem. If you wait just a few seconds after writing, it dries up and you can rub across it without any issues. But with a damp cloth, you can wipe it off and it's not a problem. Also, this game plays up to 5 players. Both of the previous installments in this line played 1 to 4 players. This one plays up to 5 players. So if you've got a few more players in your group, this might be a great choice for that as well.
The Z Mage commenting in the chat. This just feels like it's trying to trick me into learning something. That's funny. I mean, these games, yeah, they can teach you a thing or two. That's what's so great about these games. They're very scientific. So that's a great comment. All right, so the Search for UAPs is releasing this August. You can go ahead and pre-order now. Now, moving on to our next topic, it was Axis and Allies Month not too long ago, and some of you might have seen Dan and I actually announce all of the new Axis and Allies games coming your way this year. So we decided it'd be good to do a little recap for anyone who might have missed it because there's some really cool stuff coming your way. So first up is one that I am very excited for, G.I. Joe Battle for the Arctic Circle, powered by Axis and Allies. Dan, what can you tell us about this one?
Yeah, I just got the pack out check for this from the factory yesterday. So this is coming along great. The box looked great. The components look great. Super excited for this to come out. As far as the theming, Cobra has established a base on the North Pole and threatens the world with its Weather Dominator 2.0. And of course, only G.I. Joe is ready and able to defeat these forces without the entire world going into a larger conflict. So every player will have a leader. They'll start with a leader. They'll either be Admiral Keelhaul or Snow Job on the Joe side, or Cobra Commander, or Destro on the Cobra side. As Jordan mentioned, this is the first game in the Powered by Axis and Allies line, which is kind of a hint. I say it's the first game. There might be more coming. So these games take that tried and true Axis and Allies gameplay and apply it to a different setting that's not World War I, World War II. And we're excited to expose the great Axis and Allies gameplay to a broader base and bring great games like G.I. Joe to the Axis and Allies line. This is a 2 to 4 player game. It takes about 90 minutes. You can see on the game board, hopefully on the screen, it's a map, like a top-down view of the Arctic Circle with hex-based game board. And this has classic Axis and Allies gameplay, but with some twists. In this one, the Cobra forces have the Weather Dominator 2.0, and this will be able to freeze the sea to block pathways, or create strategic land bridges. So they can modify and change the board as in the middle of gameplay if you let them. But obviously the Joes will try to stop that. Each player will have a commander board with their unique commander on it, and each commander has a unique ability that only they will have access to. There are cool G.I. Joe minis, including the Snowcat, the Wolf, the Sky Striker, the Rattler, and more. We got a fun opportunity to make some new minis, which is always a great time, and they look great. There are 3 playable scenarios included in the box, which each have different scenarios, different starting setups, different quantity of rounds, different play lengths. So there's lots of replayability within that one box.
Nice. Yeah, I'm really excited for this one. It's all looking really cool, and that map too just looks fantastic. So everyone, you can expect late May release for this one. So go ahead and be sure to pre-order now. That is not all that we announced for Axis and Allies last in January. Also coming very soon is Axis and Allies Anniversary Edition. What can players expect from this one?
So this is a fan favorite. This is one of the most requested Axis and Allies game to bring back. When we announced we got the license, people were just like, you have to bring this one back. This is one of the best games for the Axis and Allies line that people just love to go back to. And originally it was celebrating the 50th anniversary of Avalon Hill. Well, that's come and gone, but we're celebrating a different anniversary. Still calling it the Anniversary Edition. We're celebrating the 40th anniversary of the 1984 release of Axis and Allies Classic. This is a truly epic game. This is global. It includes Italy as a playable Axis power. There are over 600 pieces, a giant game board, and nice little storage boxes for each of the powers. It's that same great game that's come out before. There's no gameplay changes in this edition, only minor rulebook clarifications. So if you have the previous one, you don't necessarily need this one, but we're very excited to bring it back on the market, make it available to new fans or anyone who may have missed it the first time around.
Yeah, this was a big fan ask. I remember when we launched Axis and Allies, so many people wanted Anniversary Edition. So it's really cool that we can bring that out. All right, so you can expect a June release for Anniversary Edition. And now, given the positive reception of the Axis and Allies 1940 global map, which some of you may be familiar with, we decided to do another premium map. Dan, can you tell us about the upcoming Anniversary Edition Deluxe map?
Of course. This is similar to that 1940 global map from 2023. It's a neoprene map with premium stitch edges, makes picking up tokens and minis from the board very nice. It's just a very nice, smooth feel. Much like the 1940 map, this one will be 20% larger than the standard boards. It's about 4.5 feet by 2 1/3 feet. And also, like the 1940 map, this includes extra components on the map itself. So this includes the national production chart and the research and development chart on the map, which reduces the number of extra pieces you have to either put on the board or have off to the side. So it's printed right on the map.
Nice. Yeah, this deluxe map will also be available in June right alongside the anniversary edition, so you can get both and have an epic game for your first game with the new anniversary edition. So now what I think might be the coolest reveal during Axis and Allies month, we talked about the highly anticipated Axis and Allies North Africa. Dan, can you talk about what makes this one so exciting?
Yeah, so when we first started with the license of Axis and Allies, we announced it to the fans. One of the first things we did is went out with a community vote to ask the community, ask the fans what themes they would like to see in a new Axis and Allies game. At the end of the vote, North Africa was the winner. So the community voted, and we are happy to bring this to life. We partnered with Larry Harris, the original designer of Axis and Allies, and who's had a steady hand on game design throughout the life of this game line. And also it's co-designed with Matt Hyra, who's our internal designer, who has many, many games to his credit, is a World War II buff, and has lots of great ideas for the Axis and Allies line. So it was a great collaboration between those two to bring us something new. It's 2 to 4 players, 3 to 5 hours, all the themes you would expect in a North Africa campaign game, or North Africa themed game. Desert warfare, keeping your armies supplied, intercepting enemy convoys, it's all there. In the box are 2 scenarios, Rommel's Last Push. This is a full 14-round campaign, and Operation Torch, which is a shorter 8-round experience. There are in the box over 250 miniatures, as is the case with many Axis and Allies games, and we're excited that we were able to create 6 new ones that have never before been seen in Axis and Allies. I'm going to read this list and hope so I don't forget them or say the wrong things. I've got the CMP truck, the Long Range Desert Group Jeep, the SDK FZ231 Scout Car, the Panzer IV tank, the French Somua S35 tank, and the 6-pounder anti-tank gun. So all of those are new, never before seen in Axis and Allies. We're excited to bring them to the franchise.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm really excited for this one as well. Axis and Allies North Africa is going to release in August of this year, and we also have an interview with Matt Hyra, who Dan was mentioning co-designed North Africa with Larry Harris, up on our YouTube channel. So if you haven't seen that, be sure to go check it out. Now, last but not least, we have a couple of accessories releasing for Axis and Allies. First off, Dan, can you tell us about the Axis and Allies hit dice?
Yeah, so players can upgrade their battles with Axis and Allies hit dice. This is designed to allow players to speed up their die rolling, to roll all their dice for large battles at one time and quickly see how many hits are scored. This is something that was requested by the fans, and we're happy to oblige. It has 72 custom dice for use with most Axis and Allies games that use D6, and it makes it easier to roll a large number at once for truly epic battles. One of the things that we did is talk to fans, talk to our playtesters about how we can accomplish this, what would make these a great component. So we have four different types included in this. We got 1 hit, 2 hit, 3 hit, and 4 hit, each being a different color. But what we also did to make things easier is on the number of hits on each die is included on every side. And that might seem strange at first, but what it does is it speeds up the ability to look at the pile of 72 dice and pick up the correct ones right away. So you don't have to remember that the green one is 3 hits and the brown one is 2 hits. You look at the pile of dice, you pick up 2 3s, 2 2s, and a 1, and then roll. So the goal of kind of streamlining that process, making it quicker and easier, so you can get down to the fun of playing the game. So these dice come in a canvas dice duffel bag, we're calling it, with a drawstring for storage, and it's got the Axis and Allies logo embroidered on it.
That's cool. Dice duffel. I love that. Awesome. Well, yeah, these will be releasing alongside this next accessory piece that we're going to mention here, the Axis and Allies IPC Chips. What can you tell us about these?
Yeah, again, this is a accessory upgrade that was requested by the fans. This will help players manage their industrial production certificates, IPCs. You can track and spend them easily with these weighted chips in 3 denominations in 1s, 5s, and 10s. And it includes a plastic tray for easy in-game use or storage. So this can be used with pretty much any Axis and Allies game. These are 10-gram weighted poker chips style chips. Myself and many gamers I know love the tactile feel of these types of chips, and it's just something fun to do when you're to tinker with when it's not your turn or when you're spending them. It just feels really nice. This comes with 75 chips in 3 denominations, the 1, the 5, and the 10. And it comes in a nice plastic tray that's got the Axis and Allies logo embossed on it. And so we're really looking forward to fans getting a chance to play with these.
That's awesome. Yeah, so both the Hit Dice and IPC chips are going to be releasing in July. So go ahead and pre-order those now if you want them. You know what? I think that about does it. So we're going to wrap things up here. But, before we go, I just want to say, we mentioned this in the action briefing in January, but really we're all very honored to be able to make games like Axis and Allies. So, many of these games that we talked about in the stream have a very exalted legacy around them. And a lot of the games that we announced in this stream are in the same boat as Axis and Allies in that regard. So really, we're just beyond excited for 2024. Thanks for joining us. And I think that does it for this stream. So everybody, you can pre-order if you're interested in anything we talked about right now. And up next, we have the World of Darkness Reveals stream at 5 p.m. So make sure to check it out. All right. Thanks all. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.